Here we have another question. The wording's a little bit confusing. Let's read this carefully before I start drawing graphs. A consumer's bundle includes the inferior good X and the normal good Y according to the income effect. So that's the key. We're just going to look at just the income effect. A blank in the price of good X or a blank in the price of good Y will cause the consumer to buy more of good X. And again, according to the income effect. So the substitution effect would always have the person buying more of good X when the price of good X decreased, and more of good X when the price of Y increased. But the income effect is what we're talking about. So let's just think this through. Let's think through the income effect for X and inferior good, right? I think you probably get it now once I clarify that first clause. All right, so we've got this composite good against good X, slope negative px, and let's start with an initial tangency, and we know that X is an inferior good. So call that point R. We've got X, R, and we're ready to go. So let's have the total effect be in blue, and let's do a price reduction in good X. So the new price of X is smaller, so the new curve is flatter, and we have some new tangency, call it I1, and we'll call that T. So we've got to decompose the substitution and income effects here. We know from R to T is the total effect, but so I'll go ahead and indicate X, T, and let's see what has to be the case for an inferior good. Well, notice that I've got to decompose these two effects. So I'm going to draw, that's supposed to be parallel. This is why I give Excel such trouble, is because I can't do it myself. So there. Oh, now we've got to go up. Got to go pretty this back up because it was really pretty before, right? This new line, and then that's much more parallel than it was, and then this will be our point S. So notice that for an inferior good, the income effect, that increase in income, has to result in a reduction in the consumption of X. The substitution effect always sees more consumption of X, but the income effect, if it's an inferior good, has to see a reduced consumption of X. So practice drawing that and decompose that, and just keep practicing until you can draw the tangency such, the new tangency such that when you decompose it, it's an inferior good. So again, let's just what's going to cause us to we see that the income effect associated with a reduction in price of good X is going to have us buy less of good X. So the income effect associated with a increase in price of good X is is actually going to see us buy more of good X. I guess I could draw that case. Let's go ahead and draw that case. Oops, that's my pointer. I wanted it to be my pen. All right, here we go. X, Y, we've got this initial tangency. Notice I draw my tangencies really, my indifference curves really shallow. That makes these a little bit easier to do. X, this will be R sub R. And let's go to the blue total effect again. But now we're going to have an increase in the price of X. So we have a shift in, and that's going to result in this new tangency here. Let's hope I can pull this off in one shot. Probably can't, but if you draw your point big enough, then you get that's T, and we see that the combined effect has us substituting away from good T, and then notice that my substitution effect, see if I got that right. I might have to redo the move from R to S is the substitution effect. That's always because the price of good X has gone up. We're buying less X and more Y. Oh, I did something that paused. Am I rolling now? Yeah. Oh, I turned back a page. That's what I did. All right, here we are. I looked at my graph. I thought, what the heck's going on? All right, so now I've decomposed that. Oh, I meant to do that in orange. Sorry. Let me do that in orange. The substitution effect in orange, and notice that XS. So the move from X to XR to XX, that's the substitution effect, but the income effect associated with the price increases is to reduce income, and in the presence of reduced income, we buy more of the inferior good. So that's how you draw that case. And then I'll leave you to do the normal good case on your own. But if this is again because the income effect, an increase in the price of good X, or actually an increase in the price of good Y, will cause the consumer to buy more of good X. Because it's the income effect we're talking about. It's when real income shrinks, that's when we buy more of the inferior good. So either the increase in the price of good X would shrink our income, thereby causing an increase in the consumption of an inferior good, or an increase in the price of good Y would result in a loss of real income, and thus an increase in the consumption of the inferior good.